Kevin Durant's career has been filled with doubt since the moment he decided to leave the Oklahoma City Thunder in free agency in 2016. Drafted second in the 2007 draft, Durant was part of the last class to be drafted by the Supersonics before their relocation to Oklahoma City. Durant would play for the franchise for 9 years, reaching the finals in 2012 and the Western Conference Finals in multiple seasons during his tenure. While on the Thunder, Durant developed into one of the most prolific scorers the game has ever seen. Durant would win MVP in 2014, cementing his spot in NBA history, and this was seen as the starting point of a potential dynasty that could be made in OKC. The team had young point guard Russell Westbrook next to Kevin Durant, and they would continue to compete in the West for many years. In the 2016 season, the Thunder were up 3-1 against the 73-9 Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and this finally looked like the year the Thunder could get it done and win a championship. LeBron James and the Cavs would be on the other side waiting, but if the Thunder could take down possibly the greatest team ever, they would have a good chance against the Cavs. We all know how this series went, as the Thunder would blow a 3-1 lead, lose the series to the Warriors, who would also blow a 3-1 lead in the finals versus the Cavs, and Kevin Durant would hit free agency, where he made his decision about his future.
Stephen A., the news again coming in moments ago, Kevin Durant heading to the Golden State Warriors. How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar. Plain and simple. That's just how I look at it.
I think some people were disappointed that Kevin went there, but I don't think they're villains. I was disappointed. And listen, I'm disappointed at some of the shots Kevin has taken at Oklahoma City. You know, Kevin's been a great player and he's a good dude, but some of these shots he's taken at, obviously, Russell Westbrook and Oklahoma City Thunder.
This move would end up changing the NBA landscape as we know it forever. I mean, Kevin Durant going to arguably the greatest team of all time, 73-9, though they didn't win the championship, just how good that team was, and then takes his talents to the team that just beat him, was a move that we've never seen. I mean, people compared it a little bit to LeBron when he went to Miami, but LeBron didn't go to the best team in the league and arguably the greatest team of all time and add another piece. He went and they teamed up together in Miami. This was a move that would change the landscape, and the NBA is still getting the effects of this. Kevin Durant would end up being there, and he would be the best player on the team. They would win 2 championships while he was there, and he won Finals MVP deservingly. He was the best player on that team. Even though Steph Curry was there, I still think KD was better than Steph Curry. But we still saw Kevin Durant get the championships that he went there to get. And some people, as we know, will debate his rings until he retires and probably after that. But on the stat sheet, he has 2 rings, and this was the start of what we would see for Kevin Durant for the rest of his career. He wouldn't essentially team up and make a super team with this team because they were already great. He would just go join the team already. But as we would see, after his injury, tearing his Achilles in 2019 in the finals against the Raptors, we would see him leave Brooklyn and go create a super team for the first time in his career.
Which is why I remain shocked over this. I still can't wrap my head around it, and after I slept on it for the night, the harder I think about it, the worse it gets. I don't understand it. In the end, it was about Kyrie and friendship, as you say.
Yeah.
But Kevin's still too young to opt for just friendship. Kevin Durant just made a huge mistake to me. And I don't understand it because, in the end, if you told me a month ago that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would wind up signing with the Nets, I would have said, yeah, and pigs are going to fly.
Despite going to 3 straight finals, winning 2 of them, possibly 3 if he didn't get injured in the third one, Kevin Durant decided to leave the Warriors and team up with longtime friend Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn, a move that many people were shocked to see, especially because Kevin Durant just joined a great team. Now he would almost be starting from scratch. But with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both being at least top 10 players at this point in their career, basically entering both of the peaks of their career, Kevin Durant coming off of an injury, but it seemed like he would be okay. him and Kyrie would look for a third star. Yes, even having 2 top 10 players wasn't enough. They would look for a third star, and there was a player who worked himself onto the market that they would look for.
Lands with the Nets, obviously. The Rockets get a package including Victor Oladipo, 4 first-round picks, and 4 first-round swaps. Indiana gets Karis LeVert, while Cleveland gets Jared Allen and Taurean Prince. Max Kellerman, you are up first. What were your first thoughts when you heard this went down?
So many. First, the Nets have to make the finals. They have to make the finals. Let's just assume for a second that Kyrie is on the team and will play for the Nets at some point this season. This is the only big 3 in the NBA. I don't mean they're 2 great players and here's their 3rd best player. I mean big 3. And whenever we've seen a big 3, they at least make the finals.
So in this case, we see the Nets go out and get another top 10 player to try to complete this team and go and compete for a championship. And obviously the expectations are very high for this team, as Max Kellerman just said. The main thing that links these 3 players together is the doubts that were set upon these guys' careers. Kevin Durant only won a championship in Golden State, and a lot of people were wondering if he could win again, especially with a new team, so he goes out and creates a super team. Kyrie Irving couldn't get anything done in Boston after he tried to become a leader of the team and lead the Cavs, and he didn't get anything done there either. And obviously James Harden, no championships in Houston despite being one of the best scorers that we've seen from his generation. We saw this team and this big 3 play 16 games together over 3 seasons before James Harden would end up getting traded. And it's interesting to look at too, especially with James Harden being the 3rd member to get there after KD and Kyrie, and he would end up being the first one to leave too. Just because of everything that we saw, there were some things that Kyrie did that James Harden wasn't a fan of, and vice versa. And Kevin Durant would obviously end up leaving as well, and so would Kyrie. But James Harden was the first one to leave, and this team only playing 16 games is a disappointment to say the least if you're a Nets fan and if you're all 3 of these players. I mean, all 3 of these players expected to be able to go team up together and run through the NBA, and clearly they did not do that. So with the rumors of Kyrie Irving also leaving and James Harden obviously leaving as well, Kevin Durant decided that he needed to get out of Brooklyn, and he decided to go to another team that had recently been in the finals. Not a very big surprise, but he wanted to go out there and compete, so he decided to request a trade, and he would end up getting traded to the Phoenix Suns.
Breaking news. Late night on the West Coast, early morning on the East Coast. The Nets they're no more, at least as they started this season. Kyrie got a win in his Dallas debut, and Kevin Durant is headed to...
Kevin Durant would join the Suns as he believed this would be his best opportunity to get a championship after everything fell apart in Brooklyn. He would join a top 10 player in Devin Booker and also join an all-time great in Chris Paul, with DeAndre Ayton also being on the team at the time. In the 2022-2023 season, though, the Suns would fall in the second round in 6 games to the eventual champion Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. Though the Suns believed that they need something else to push themselves over the edge, as they completed a trade just as the season ended for another star player.
We got some breaking news into the HQ. Washington Wizards trading Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and draft compensation.
After the Kevin Durant trade last season, the Suns jumped up to championship favorites at one point, with having one of the greatest scorers of all time on a already great team. But now they're trying to move DeAndre Ayton and potentially bolster up that bench unit a little bit. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker are all making a lot of money, so they're not going to be able to go out and get a bunch of other players who are making a lot of money. But if you build a decent bench around this team with the money they have left over, especially after trading DeAndre Ayton, this should be a championship contending team, but the Nets should have been too. And what we saw from Kevin Durant in the Warriors was a team that was already great that he went to and played his role of being amazing and a great scorer and playmaker. The team that he's going on to now already has a team filled with scorers. We have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, who they just traded for. Bradley Beal will probably be the third option, and he has not been the third option in his career. In Washington, he was the guy who was going out there, and he was pretty much the only one who could score on that team at points, putting up 30-plus points per game, and he was a volume scorer. How will he fit as a third scorer on this team and third option behind KD and Devin Booker? We will just have to wait and see. But if I'm looking at this right now, I wouldn't be surprised if this Suns team ends up having the same fate as the Nets team. But that's why we watch the game.